Custom guitars and even the people who come in and repairs, I think the coolest part about all is I have no rules. Hey, I'm Tomas Holgado and I own and operate Holgado Guitar Works in Atlanta, Georgia. I've been a luthier for 3 years, says my degree, if you will. A luthier is someone who works on, builds, or fixes stringed instruments of any variety. I try and structure my business with two fronts in the sense of keeping local musicians happy, satisfied in the sense of their instruments playing well and performing properly, and the other side of it is building custom instruments for people. And those things combined really help each other out. They never hurt each other, of course. The Masquerade was a historic venue here in Atlanta, of course, that was a historic staple to where a lot of early 90s bands and mid-2000s bands really made their impact on Atlanta. Due to big business and such moving in and things changing in the city as far as commercial business and stuff, the Masquerade being in a historic place and a really kind of centralized location in Atlanta, I think was probably forced into relocating. My kind of light bulb moment was when my mom sent me an email regarding a gentleman in New York, Carmine Street Guitars, who was doing something similar with a venue in New York called the Bowery. Grabbed a lot of that old heart pine, which is the same stuff that was used in the Masquerade's construction, and he made guitars out of that, so I was able to look both ways and make the best out of that situation. I acquired all the wood, most of it at least, when I didn't have my full business up and running and all the tools I needed to build. So I did have to sit on it for a moment, but slowly but surely I piled up all the things I needed, like tools and everything, to make them a reality. I make my schedule around the musicians instead of the traditional approach of dropping off your instrument, leaving it for an undetermined week or two until you get a phone call and you gotta drive back and pick it up. I try to expedite the process in the sense of keeping the musician here, educating them while I'm making adjustments on their instrument, and getting them out the door back working as soon as possible. I would say the simplest breakdown of a guitar is 3 parts. We have the body, which is all sorts of varieties of shapes and patterns that we can trace on the inside. The second part would be necks. This is obviously a couple examples of different neck shapes. We have different lengths for different purposes, bass guitars, electric guitars. And third really would probably be the electronics and the hardware. So really body, neck, and parts. That venue actually closing and moving elsewhere, I think, along with the old rehearsal space, Thunderbox. Those two things closing really, I think, spread a message to Atlanta's artists and musicians that, the city's changing and we have to do our best to kind of keep up with it, You can take these things and you can get really upset and you can go vandalize streets, or you can take these things and say, okay, what can I do to keep this place going, to support the ideas and the kind of life-changing moments that it provided me. And the best, kind of most direct way I saw to do that was to make some awesome guitars.